that. All right. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the most talked about talk show of Wednesday nights, where everybody wants to be. Everybody's talking about, because why? We're coming uncensored, unfiltered, raw, down to the root, and everything we got to bring to the red hot topic. It's your Jersey boy, Omar Retamar. I'm your host tonight, and I'm excited. I'm pumped up because tonight's topic fires me up. Nothing fires me up more than being able to bring something that's going to solve one of the biggest problems and one of the biggest causes of, sadly, death in USA and even in America. Why? 35 million people have it. 40 million will have it in USA by 2025, and 300 million will have it worldwide by 2025. What are we talking about? Diabetes. Yes, and joining me here tonight, nonetheless, than the celebrity detox doctor, the only one, the one and only, the one that brings the fire, registered nurse. She's a naturopathic doctor. She's a healer in this world, bringing the best and leaving her footprint in this world. She's a number one author, bestseller author for New York Times bestseller, 21 pounds in 21 days. She's been on many talk shows, TV shows, radio shows. You mentioned it, but tonight you got her here live and raw, all the way from Martha's Vineyard's retreat, island, we would say. Mrs. Dr. Roni. What's up, Rockstar? How you feeling tonight?
Hi, Omar. I missed you last week. Where were you hiding?
I was really far in the Caribbean. I got stuck. I was so mad because I said they want me to stay here more time. Oh my God, I don't want to stay in the Caribbean. No.
Well, I wish I was there. I'm on this beautiful island of Martha's Vineyard, but as I've said many times, this is where I work. I don't play here. It's not my vacation home. This is my home to do retreats where people come from all over the country here in the summertime. So I don't get a vacation or a break, right? Yeah. But I like what you said.
That's going to change one day. That's going to change one day. You will leave a legacy of transform people who are going to be healed, and they're going to be able to teach others so you can enjoy the rest of it.
So that means I'm going to have a lot of angels coming here, and they're going to be my interns, and then they're going to follow what I followed, and the world's going to change, right?
Amen.
That's my goal. That's my goal.
That's right. So before we get started tonight, if you're on here for the first time, we bring some powerful topics that many platforms out there can't resist. They can't take it, so they ban stuff like that. So on here, you're getting the real deal, raw, uncensored, and completely unfiltered. So if you're here for the first time, drop a 1. But if you've been here before, you know how we bring the fire. You know how Dr. Roni brings it as it is. And she doesn't hide anything. So big shout out to everybody who's on here tonight. Thank you for having your camera on and letting me to see your precious smile is one of the best things, one of the best gifts you can give me. I brought my shirt today. We're on Red Hot topic, but I brought my Red Hot. Best dads get promoted to granddad. Oh. So you know how we are. We go
I love
to that Father's Day. A lot of people missing out on men's health, but we're going to talk about one of the biggest issues that actually hurt a lot of men. So what are we talking about tonight?
So you said it was your favorite subject. It's my favorite subject for a lot of reasons. Okay. I'm writing a new book called High Five, Chronic Illness that causes over 80% of deaths at a certain age. So diabetes is one of the high fives. Now, people are always asking me, so what is diabetes? Because there's 3 levels of it, and there's pre-diabetes, there's type 2 diabetes, and there's actually diabetes, and then there's a new one. That's the new one, type 3, which has a lot to do with Alzheimer's and dementia. So there's diabetes, pre-diabetes, which we're going to try to talk about, but I think we should just all agree when I'm talking about pre-diabetes, I'm also talking about type 2 diabetes, because they're very similar. 95 million people have pre-diabetes, and that meshes in with type 2. There's some controversy. People like to play around with words because basically they're trying to say these are the people that are going to develop diabetes. I mean, if you're not understanding what I'm saying, if you are pre-diabetic or type 2, you're going to develop type 3, or you're going to be on insulin. So, well, that's a whole nother hour.
Definitely. No, we're going to break it down
a whole
tonight.
nother hour.
I know you got it. What I've always been concerned with that. Like, okay, pre-diabetes, either you're diabetic or you're not, because, and I can say, I can attest from my wife recently, before she had the bariatric surgery, she was diagnosed with that. And I'm like, babe, I don't take it, because she was already kind of like believing it. She was, oh my God, you know how it is, because the influence of a professional, health professional, will give a patient, some words, and they kind of take it to the heart. So they kind of like start believing in it. I said, no, you don't. You don't. Right. You're not, and you're not going over there. Thank God, right now. That lowered completely. So it is curable. We're going to be touching on that later. If you're here taking notes, and if you want to get the recording, just get with anybody who invited you tonight, because we're going to touch on that. It's reversible, and you can actually do a lot of things. But that's what we're going to talk about. But me, I'm the little guy here. We're going to let Dr. Roni break it down for you, because she has the experience, she has the wisdom, the knowledge, and overall, she's still practicing it. Like, she's still seeing her people and how they can actually reverse all these things. So let's kind of like bring it down. I know this is scary for some peeps, because the number itself, 300 million by 2025 worldwide, that's like saying 85% of USA population. It's just crazy.
Yeah.
So many people are dying from it too.
It's unbelievable. But I know a lot of people probably want me to get right to the point of first of all, we are literally dying from diabetes. Okay, you heard me say that, dying from diabetes. So I want to break it down to you on what it is. First of all, it's not one disease. It's not like one disease, like, oh, it's just diabetes. It's a circular of metabolic problem, which basically means, if you look at it, take it very seriously when I say we have thousands of miles of vessels in our body, right? Which is sort of like the highway. There's the highway, there's the little side streets, and there's, the tunnels and all of those things in our body. But let's just agree that diabetes, which is a high sugar, which causes high insulin, which causes out of balance hormone, which causes all types of inflammation in the body. So the damage to the vessels of these highways. So just like a congestion, the highway, right? You have crashes and you have congestion, all kinds of things are happening. So that's why it's not fair to say that diabetes is one disease. It's not. When you decrease the blood flow from high sugar, also you're increasing the fatty deposits, right? So just imagine, when I'm talking, you're thinking about your blood flow, you're thinking about the vessels, thousands of miles of vessels being turned into thick sludge, okay? Being turned into fatty deposits. These tiny vessels, like when I said it has bypasses to like side streets and stuff, some of the nerves are being cut off, damaged to the point where it doesn't work. So when I tell you what the symptoms are, you need to understand, first of all, what's going on, right? So when I tell you that you have these symptoms of tingling in your hands and feet, that's what some of the signs of pre-diabetes. I'm not talking about diabetes yet. I'm still talking about pre-diabetes. This is really sad, because you can cure it and it could be prevented if you only understood the symptoms. Thirst, you get an increase in thirst. You're just so fatigued, like you can sleep 10 hours, 12 hours, and wake up fatigued. And a lot of people ignore these, because you got to remember, pain is the greatest thing in the world to get you to get help. people who's tired every day, they just say, well, I'm just tired because of stress, or I'm just tired because of this. So a lot of times I'll diagnose a diabetic, a real diabetic who's already been pre for many years. Okay. So it's already had a jump start on damage to these vessels. So then you start thinking about, okay, if those symptoms like headaches and tingling and low libido and brain fog and weight gain and inactivity, if you have those things and blurred vision, you know, I hear these people say they had these things for years when they're diagnosed. You gotta wonder, why a physician have not diagnosed them, because it only takes 3 tests. Let me tell you, 3 tests. But I'm going to tell you something that's going to kind of blow your mind why we're dying from diabetes. This is really going to blow your mind. But before I get there, I want to tell you the 3 tests that they can do when they don't do it. Why? Because it's not critical in their brain. When somebody goes to the doctor and says, I'm tired, doc, and I have a headache, they go, oh, well, are you having a lot of stress at home? Is anything going on at home? And they miss this diagnosis. But clearly, they can do a fasting blood sugar. Now, fasting blood sugar is easy to do. So your blood sugar ranges should be within the range of 100 to 125. That's just fasting. That's a quick, easy way to diagnose it. I'm not kidding you. That takes no time. Then there's a glucose tolerance test, which is a little tougher because it's like you have to drink this sugary drink over 2 hours, and that range should be between 140 and 199. So that's a little harder for a doctor to do. And then over the long term of like 2 to 3 months, you could take an average. And that average, a lot of people tell me what their A1C is, right? They'll say my A1C was 7 or my A1C is 8, which will totally blow my mind how anybody can walk around with A1C of 8 for a long, long time. But the average A1C is anywhere from 5.7 to 6.2. Sometimes it's a little lower, sometimes a little higher, but if you're within that range, you pretty much are okay. So these are 3 tests that your doctor should always be doing on you, but they neglect to do it on you because they don't understand the signs of pre-diabetic, because those symptoms are so vague. And you almost have to be like in a coma for them to go, oh, we better do a glucose tolerance test. Oh, we better do this. So this is why these classes are so important, because it's up to us now. It's up to you to say, you know what? I'm not normal. I'm definitely not normal. I'm not myself. I have increased urination. I'm thirsty as heck, and that's just not normal for me. But the problem is we don't do it, Omar. We
That's
don't
the
do it
sad
because
part.
it's
That's
not
the sad
pain.
part. And there's a lot of people who I know because I at my job I know people, but they're asking me because they know I'm involved, you know, health and wellness, and they tell me I don't want to drop it because I'm not a doctor, but they tell me, listen, man, I'm having this problem. You know I wake up 2, 3 times a night. I'm peeing a
Right,
lot. I'm like,
right.
well, obviously their body doesn't look like they're working out. They noticeably you can see that they're having a weight problem. But here's the problem with majority of them, they don't take it as serious because it's just getting up and urinating, but you see the body gain, the body weight gain and all that happening. And one of the things I told them, like one of my friends, coworkers, I told them, look, what you got to look for is sometimes, I'm not an expert, sometimes how your urine is smelling, if it's smelling bad, if it's coming out really dark, if you're drinking too much, if like water, you're thirsty all the time. I was telling them about that. And if you're peeing, you got to check it because maybe your blood sugar is a little bit too high. The problem was that when your body gets acidic, especially when they get into type 2 diabetes, they produce the insulin, but your body's deaf to it. It doesn't read it. Your body has no
Right.
recognition of it. So it's just going all over, scattered. Next thing you know, they get caramelized in the veins and the arteries. That sugar gets caramelized. It starts compressing. Then high blood pressure starts going up and start going up. One
That's
thing leads
right.
to another. If they don't start taking care of it now, see, one of the things I've been doing a lot, because I know in my family that runs a lot. So
Yeah.
I drink more water than ever. I have my water every day. I take my energies, my collagen, but I take water, like literally just water, no flavor, because we need it. Yeah, I'll go to the bathroom pretty much, but I'm active. I'm running back
Yeah.
and forth. I can see it. It comes out clear. You see it. But I be telling him, Frankie's his name. If he ever watches this, sorry, bro. I'm not sure. I'm not throwing you under the bus. It's just real. But he's a great guy, but he
Yeah.
has to start taking care of himself, and he's not
Yes.
doing it.
Yeah. Well, I know that. So, this meeting. Okay, I had to do something. I don't know what that says, but
It's a
anyway,
transcription, yeah.
I just said okay. Yeah. So I know that there's a cure for diabetes because I've done it many, 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 many times, right? And I know the reason why. There's a lot of reasons why people are dying of diabetes. One reason, and not to put the blame on the person because it's not their fault, but it is self-created. Okay. And a lot of times it's self-created due to lack of knowledge. And there's other things that come into play, like our country, we're corrupted when it comes to our medical system. It's corrupted. I used to be afraid to say that, but you guys assured me that the red hot topics, I can tell the truth, right? So, but we are starting to learn that ourselves. We know that, there's a lot of greed. We know that you have to have a symptom that leads to a diagnosis so that you can get that medication. We're starting with signs and symptoms. Those signs and symptoms, we can cure it before we get that diagnosis. But what happens is there's so much politics involved. The FDA has its hands in it. Not only that you got the media now. The media is absolutely unbelievable. Every time I turn around, I don't even watch TV, but when I do watch TV, I'm turned off. There's a medications for everything. Every single year, there's a medication for diabetes. Now they're taking diabetic medications and they'll say, oh, let's just do this weight loss with it now. You don't even get diabetes, but they're taking diabetes drugs to cure weight. And no one's out there talking about the kidneys. No one's talking about the fact that it creates pancreatitis. Because see, we can't talk about those things because it's driven a multi-billion-dollar business. Diabetes. It is the saddest thing. It hurts my heart. And I want to tell you a story. I want to tell you a story about how doctors don't have faith in this. And this has to do with my dad. That's why this is so important to me, diabetes. And it's going to be the chapter 1 in my book. But I remember my dad, his legs and his feet was just basically black, right? So it was black for a very long time. But the problem that I had with it was he was walking and they wanted to amputate his foot. Okay. They wanted to amputate his foot. And I just told you he was walking, but they couldn't understand why he was walking because his feet was so black. And when they did the post test, he didn't pass the post test on his foot. So I remember one time I went home, there's no secret. I do ozone treatments, right? I've been doing ozone treatments for 20 years when I was a young nurse. Now I've been doing this to the point where people now understand it and they come to me. They don't ask me what it is. They now ask me when can they do it. So we've grown a lot in that, right? But I said to this doctor once, he said, I don't understand why your father won't get his legs amputated. If he got his legs amputated, he would be able to have less pain. And he says, he says, because he can't possibly be using his legs. And so I says, well, if I tell you the truth, you are not going to believe me. You know what he said to me? Try it. So I tried it. And I said, there's coffee, the coffee bean has theophylline. And theophylline has known, remember I told you the story about the vessels, have been known to open up the vessels to allow blood flow. Now, he may not have the blood flow that you want him to have, but he have enough blood flow to walk. And he looked at me, he says, coffee beans. He says, you're right, I don't believe you. Now, this is many, many years ago. So, listen, I was already expecting that. So years later, do you know it came out in the New York Times and then they put it in a journal of medicine that, yes, coffee has medicinal effects for the body, for the health of the body. And yes, it does help blood flow. So I was so excited when this came out. You can imagine how excited I was. I wanted to run and tell the doctor, here, look at this news article that just came out in the New York Times. Any of you can just research it, you'll find it. Do you know what my father said to me? He said, Roni, that doctor died 2 years ago. And when he said that, and I wasn't able to tell him, see, you were wrong and I was right, I just sat back and I said, I don't know if you guys know about this article, but it's a poem. It's called Dead Doctors Don't Lie. You know about that? If you don't know about that, you need to research that. Okay. What that means is a lot of them are dying because of their own medicine. See, a lot of them are dying because of their own. That dead doctors don't lie. So I sat back and I took a breath and I said, you know, I could have helped him. He didn't believe me. Now he's on the other side. But there's a lot of that going on today. As we go back to nature and find out how to help ourselves in a very healthy way, we're finding out that we're losing a lot of doctors. I lost 2 of my colleagues just not long ago. They felt like they was too old to change. I go, are you kidding me? Your age, 72 years old, is a perfect age to change, because now what you could do is talk about your history. You could talk about everything, and you can now say, here I am today, and today I apologize. If a lot of these doctors need to, today I apologize because I was misled. So I'm getting a little bit too far ahead of me. So let me just bring it back home to diabetes. I don't want to get diabetes, and I don't want any of you to get diabetes, but I know the lack of knowledge is what caused a lot of our patients and clients and friends and family members not to move forward. They believe that if they take the metformin or the other medication for type 2 diabetes, that's the way it goes, but nobody's telling them that they can develop kidney disease and all kinds of things. They believe that it's okay to take the medications and eventually they may have to be on insulin. But if they stopped it at the pre-level, that's where the cure is. The cure is also at type 2, because I've cured a lot of diabetes. So we have so much.
I already mentioned metformin. Sorry to jump in. Metformin right now is like the biggest regulator right now for diabetes, right? And very popular out there. But there's studies showing that it's actually a little toxic to your kidneys. But they won't tell you about that. And that's crazy. Now that you were talking about, certain stuff, I wanted to mention, this was a screenshot I took. This was June 3. You can see the date there. It says, new study say new doctors are warning of Ozempic tongue. The Ozempic, the latest bizarre symptom of weight loss drug. This is the Daily Mail. When I went back into that, I took a screenshot because I take a screenshot. I said, let me go research after, because sometimes I'm at work. When I went back to that, they changed it. Subtle. I couldn't take the whole thing afterwards, but it was saying, oh, it's causing problems of not a weight loss response. But first, I took the screenshot when it says Ozempic tongue. So it's causing problems even in the tongue. You can have, and what the article was saying, a little bit I read, people are getting like this, a black tongue. This is actually a really old disease back in the days, but they were getting like starting to get black tongue because of that. So this is dangerous.
Wow.
Because people are wanted to get, you want to lose that weight quick. You want to drop it quick, right? Oprah in the hospital. Look at that. I didn't even know about that. You want to drop that weight quick, and you want to say, oh, no, yeah, diabetes, I got this. And people are overdoing it. People think you just put that in without prescriptions, because right now that's going over the counter like it's nobody business. They don't care whether you're diabetic or not. And here's the thing, they don't consider the consequences. And I know the industry, the food industry does us more of a disfavor than a favor, because the food industry is not helping us. And like you said, people who don't have knowledge, or probably, financially challenged or something like that, they buy whatever and they don't read labels. A lot of people don't read labels, but that's where a lot of the stuff is coming. The added sugars, the fructose, the preservatives, the everything that they're putting in there, it's affecting and it's driving your body little by little to fall into the trap of diabetes. And then they
And
go
you said it. You said it. That's why I like doing these shows with you, because you say what I am afraid to say sometimes. But the one of the things that I've always been like shy and kind of quiet. But as I gotten older, I think it's a sin for me to be quiet. I really do. I don't think it's right anymore. But I think that these doctors, when they tell us how to prevent diabetes, they're wrong, because there's two levels, right? So I hate when they say things like, well, you gotta eat healthy. You know what their healthy eating is? Talk to their nutritionist. You eat fruit and grains and a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Is absolutely crazy. No, you don't eat that. We might have to have a part two, but I'm going to tell you how to cure diabetes. I want to tell you that's a whole nother hour. Okay. But I want you, before we get here, I want you to understand what it is and why we're in the trouble that we are in. Okay. So that's not going to work, eating fruit and grains and healthy carbs. No. The other thing they tell you to do is control your portion size. What the heck you mean? No one's been able to control their portion sizes, first of all, because we are starving in the land of the plenty. So if we're starving in the land of the plenty, we want a whole lot of food. So people have a hard time with that. So it's not about food, it's about nutrition, right? Then the other thing they say, now I just told you one of the signs of pre-diabetes was fatigue, right? Now, how in the world you're having fatigue and they say, well, you got to exercise more? Does that make any sense? How are you going to, you can't even walk more, but they're telling you to exercise more. So all of those things don't work. And then they say, well, if you lose a little weight, well, how are you going to lose a little weight? You got to have you have to have a coach telling you to do it the right way. And then the other thing that drives me nuts when they say this, you're at your highest stress level, you're having all of these symptoms, and they say, well, you need to have less stress. And do not drink any alcohol. I'm having a little fun right now, but these are the things they tell you to do, and it's not working because it doesn't work to tell patients these things anymore. First of all, patients and clients, friends and family are getting smarter every day. They know it's not working. So if you don't have people like me coaching someone, they just give up. And I know they give up because I see 30-year-olds that are 300 pounds. I see it. I don't see it on Martha's Vineyard, but I see it when I go places. And I think that that's because people don't understand how to control their blood sugar and how to decrease their cravings. We are now living in a different era of the type of foods that we need to take in. People have no idea that we are sufficient in omega-3. So why they keep pushing, I know there's one doctor out there, I won't mention any names. Every time I turn around, I turn on his YouTube channel. You gotta do omega-9, olive oil, olive oil, olive oil. We have no deficiency in olive oil. We have deficiency in omega-3s. So maybe he's getting paid by the olive oil people. I don't know. But I do know that we have to start teaching people what they are deficient in,
according to their bodies, not just giving it in general, like generic for everybody. And it's amazing how sadly they rather write off a check than write off a good list of people to change your life. And, and at the same time, it has become something so normal to see that you have a sick person in front of you, knowing you can improve their life, and just say, we're going to see what we can do. And we're gonna prescribe you this, slash it out, and if that doesn't work, we'll increase the dose, or we'll change the medicine, the meds, to see if that works. If not, then we'll figure it out. A lot of them, and sadly to say, a lot of them, they know what the root cause could be. Especially one of the biggest mistakes they can make, and they know it, is that pharmaceuticals are they have a synthetic sugar that they know that it spikes insulin, it spikes everything bad in your body. And this is actually one of the things that cause not that it's a very famous phrase in the medical world, inflammation. Oh, it's
Yeah.
just inflammation.
Yeah.
You're getting inflammation at your cells. Yeah, but you know where it's starting. And you know it's starting with what they eat, and diabetes is one of the biggest causes of inflammation. Guess what? They're aging already inside,
Right.
and they don't want to stop that. So they say it's age associated. Just
Yeah.
gotta roll with it. That's how life comes. No, it's not. And it's reversible, and they know it, and they don't want to talk about it. A lot of the things I was reading, I also checking out in the book Lifespan of David Sinclair. He talks about one of the biggest hallmarks of aging is where your body stops to slow down your metabolism. You don't have mitochondria. So they noticed in their research that a lot of people who develop diabetes is because they're not converting the food correctly into energy. One of the things is the common things, they start losing receptors in their cells and in their organs, right? The ones that take the food and whatever mitochondria, whatever happens in there. That's a whole different world. But he says
Well, the mitochondria is the cell where the energy is produced.
the
And
power.
the reason why people have so much obesity is because they can't convert their food to the energy. And if you're a diabetic, they can't do that as well. But if you give somebody insulin, the pancreas gets overwhelmed. Let's just say you eat food, right, that have sugar or fruit or whatever they'd be telling you to eat. So you eat so much fruit and carbohydrates because you're craving it. So your sugar levels go up, and you expect your insulin to go up and grab that sugar and bring it to your bloodstream so you can have energy. Well, guess what? Your pancreas says, I'm tired of doing that. That's just way too much work for me. So then you become a diabetic because the pancreas is telling you, hey, it's too much. You can't be eating fruit like this all day. We didn't do that. Oh, in our back in our hundreds of years ago, we didn't do that. There wasn't even fruit there to have all year long. It was an occasional thing. But now these dietitians say, eat it every day. No, you
Eat a
can't eat it
banana.
every day
Make sure
all
you
day.
eat two, three
Your
bananas a day.
right?
Bananas like one of the
Bananas have
sugary
nothing in
fruits you can have. Like crazy stuff.
Right, right. Well, 100 years ago, maybe bananas did have a lot of potassium, but today it doesn't. So we are now understanding that fruit does not have the nutrition that it used to have 100 years ago. So we have to come with the times, but we also have to be educated and understanding that not only do we come with the times, but we have to grow our own vegetables and our fruits. And I'm sorry to say that, but a lot of people got to stop thinking that, oh, that's too much work. No, it's not. Just get a pot and some real good dirt and grow it. At least start
Ask Yvonne.
somewhere.
She can guide us into that. Anybody connect with Yvonne? She'll get you there. Which,
You'll
by
get
the
you
way,
there.
Yvonne did a phenomenal job last week. Thank you. Thank you. She crushed it. I was watching a replay.
Right,
Thank you.
exactly. Yeah.
And I think it goes down,
So,
Dr. Ron, to people having, like you said, well, the Bible says, my people perish because of the lack of knowledge. And this is where everything is going down to. People do not have the knowledge to understand what's best for them, what's best, how to even start. I don't have a garden here, I'll be honest. But when we go out and we go grocery shopping, yeah, it's a little pricier. And I'm not, and listen, I don't buy all that, everything is organic, because some things are labeled organic and you can see that they're like, either this is too huge to be organic or this don't even look real. Like it looks fake. You can see it
yeah,
if you look to the details. But one thing for sure is I also want to add a lot of science is coming out there. One of the things that are actually helping people restore some of those restore some of those receptors in the cells for the mitochondria, as you was talking about, is a form of vitamin 3, I believe, vitamin D, nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide, NAD. This is actually helping people that they're not even noticing. A lot of people this is being tested, but because they believe the person in the gown, and they say, no, if they prescribe you that med, that means that works. You know, they're not looking for alternatives. Like literally NAD, you can find it in avocados per se, you know, for God's
Well,
sakes. You can
I do
find
a
stuff
lot of
like
we're so deficient in that, Omar. I don't know if you know, but we're so deficient in that I have people flying in just to do NAD drips. It's so powerful. It literally reverses those signs of Alzheimer's and dementia. And people, you know, so we're gonna have a whole session just on that. But I think that our group is ready for it, really. I really do. And I think that if we get more into that, we start to realize that so many of our people out there are just deficient in real nutrients. And no one's talking about that. And, you know, you have to remember that our doctors and our nutritionists went to school to teach whatever it was that the FDA and the politicians and the, you know, the higher the be wanted them to teach. But that's not necessarily the reality, because if it was the reality, why are we all deficient in certain nutrients? Why do you know that we're so deficient in B complex? And oh, that was so cute. I want one. But that we're so deficient in B complex, but they want to concentrate on vitamin D right now. And then they're going to concentrate on another one. By the time they get to all the nutrients that we're deficient in, you see the game they're playing? But I'm here to tell you that we're deficient in a lot of nutrients. And being deficient in these nutrients, especially essential nutrients, that's what's driving up our chronic illness. That's what drives me up. That's when you heard me say diabetes is not one disease. And when I write that book, and I'm going to show the correlation, how one causes the other one, causes the other one, causes the other one.
that is powerful. I can't wait till that comes out, because that is one of, if you look at it, that is going to be one of the biggest, solving one of the biggest problems right now in longevity. Because longevity
Yes.
is affected by all of these hallmarks. Like these are,
Right.
all of these are, when you start going through those high fives, you know,
Yeah.
either you're aging faster or you're going downhill. God bless
Yeah.
everyone. I don't want to see anybody going down, but this is actually happening. And people are
But
not.
you have to remember that we live in a world where there's real cures out there, and they're being limited. And it's, you know, not that many of me that are out there singing the song. So, and the ones that are singing the song, they have what's called a specific niche. Like you'll get one doctor that specializes in this, one doctor this, and then they're like fighting against each other, because someone will say, oh, just eat just all meat. And then the other one says, just eat all vegetables. And the other one says, increase your carbs. And the other one says, no, 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 just be a fruitarian. And you start thinking like, whoa, I don't know what to do anymore. I'm just so confused. And what I say is, let's make this whole thing make sense. We're all deficient in nutrients. And the only way that you know which one to do is to do the right blood work.
Correct.
And get a coach. I've always said that, because you are an individual, that it's, your program has to be customized according to who you are, according to what your blood work is, because you get a practitioner, a naturopath, to really dive deep into your blood work, and you can cure just about anything. Sorry to say,
That's
but you can.
powerful.
And I only
And you know,
know
one
that
of the things
I've
I've
done
read
it.
that
Yeah.
I'm sorry, in Europe already, they're implementing something called biotracking, correct? That it's actually helping so many health professionals like identify the exact problem the person has and go to the root of it according to that person. Like they'll get saliva, they'll get blood, whatever. There's a lot of data going on right now. That's not something
Right.
like so big, but it's happening. Imagine if we can actually, you know, like you in your case, you know where to go, you know how to get blood test, how to get blood work, and how to identify what could be wrong with somebody and stop the problem at its where it's at. Don't let it, you know, increase anymore. Don't let it get any worse, and be able to help somebody. That's gonna be amazing. But
Yeah.
they don't want to talk about that because it's a huge mafia. I mean, business.
Well, you already know. You already know. So I'm all about cures. And I remember I had a friend who is major, and he wrote this book. And I kept saying, I don't know. Now, you have to also remember I'm an old soul. So I have a higher frequency than a lot of people. And I get messages. So I kept saying, I don't think you should write this book. And they goes, I'm gonna write this book because it's true. I said, well, I know it's true. I just don't think you should write this book. Especially, but don't have this title about cures. You can't have this. This is 10, 15 years ago when I said this, okay? Person didn't believe me, person wrote the book, person's in jail. Now, they'll put you in jail for anything. They'll say you didn't pay your taxes. They'll just create whatever it is that they need to create. Well, he's in jail, but at least he's not dead. Okay.
He's still alive. Let's just see that part. He's still alive. Right?
But anyway, the point I'm trying to make is that you have to understand that we live in a different world, and there's a war going on between us living a healthy, wholesome, longevity life. And that's not the same goal that they have for us. But if we have the right education, we can live a wholesome, healthy, longevity life. That's all I'm saying. And diabetes being 95 million pre-diabetics out there is just insane. It's insane. So you got to wonder, was it created? Or did all these people wake up one day and say, I'm just going to eat a lot of sugar and vegetables and carbohydrates and crackers and cookies and all of these things? Did they wake up and say that? Or was it put in our face?
That's hard. That's directly to the liver right there. And a good question to ask anybody who goes to any grocery store, anywhere. Ask yourself, how many aisles you see of candy and junkies and all that, and how many aisles you see of good quality food? Just keep that question. Take it with you whenever you go to grocery shopping and ask yourself the question that Dr. Roni said. Was this...
So Omar, I always said this one thing, and we're gonna do part 2. Are you agreeing to part 2?
Absolutely.
Because part 2 is going to give a cure, and that's going to be very powerful. We got Jillian, because Jillian, she's the boss. We got that's Jillian. But part 2 is going to be powerful because I want to show people how to cure diabetes type 2. You do not have to become a diabetic. I lost way too many people, so that's why it's so pure and special to my heart. And I still remember my Reiki specialist. She was a Reiki therapist, and this is painful for me to say, and I kept saying, you got stage 3. Please don't take. She has stage 3 kidney problems. I won't say kidney failure because it's, they shouldn't say failure because it's not a failure until it's failing. So you always have the opportunity to fix a kidney because remember, all organs want to be fixed. You just have to do the right thing by the organ. And I said to her, you are one step away from dialysis. Please, please, please don't take the metformin. I just said, it's not good. So you gotta be, what did I say last week? When the client is ready, the healer will appear. She just wasn't ready. And so she had to take the metformin because that's what they offered her. Now, she had the opportunity to research it and be ready, but she wasn't ready. And we are now today, before I retire, we all have to be ready. Now, I'm looking for some interns because one day I won't be talking to you. But what I'm telling you is that we got to get ready because we have way too many people on this platform in our community that has way too much knowledge. We got to be ready to grow our own vegetables. I don't care. Whatever you think, I know for a fact that you can do it. We got to be ready to stop having those cravings of sugar because I know for a fact it's not essential. We got to be ready when it says essential, like essential amino acids, that's protein. What are you thinking when it says essential amino acids? That means you can't live without it. And that's why I want to talk to you on our next session. I want to teach you how to cure diabetes with things that are called essential. And I'm going to give you a kit so that you can do that. Because essential means you can't live without. Let me tell me what doctor you know that's telling you essential nutrients to take. I want to know them, become partners with them. If you know one, calling them up tomorrow.
That's powerful. That is powerful. Yes. I'm
So
really
we have
excited for
the
this because this
cures.
is really
We have
amazing.
cures. The cures is going to, number one, give you the essentials that you can't live without. Number two is going to prevent the cravings. Number three is going to get your A1C back into the normal range. Number four is going to fix your cellular level and get rid of the free radicals around it. Number five, you're going to have better blood flow.
Nice.
That's the cure. It's not a 5-minute conversation.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm excited for this. I'm excited, and I know a lot of people will as well. Once we get either the flyer or anything, I'm going to start, working on that. I'll do a reels as well. I'll promote it around my audience because I want more people to know about this. And it's not because just to have them here and get to know. I want people to wake up. That's why I like the word awakening. I like that because I want to create an awakening in a generation where there's a Hebrew blessing, right? That they talk about, and they talk about in that book, Lifespan. I think it is Admayad Advisum Shana, right? May you live to 120. And they say that's going to become, if we're able to change the minds of people and direct them in the right way, that's going to become an average blessing and an average lifespan, like per se. Because if we do change the mind of people and we let them know that there's possibilities, like there's a way, your body knows how to heal itself. Your body wants to heal itself, but it doesn't have the right nutrients. It doesn't have the right essentials to make it happen. And we're packed and loaded and bombarded with genetically modified organism or bioengineered foods. Faster than go, so all this stuff, a lot of people don't pay attention because they're tiny, tiny little letters. You could barely see them. And like I mentioned before, and I mentioned in one of my reels, they're no longer called GMOs. They're called bioengineered foods. Yes. And some of them are even labeled as organic.
Yeah.
Well, we'll talk about that on another one. That's a whole different one. We're gonna blow this up.
Right.
So we've come to the top of the hour. I know everybody in here is. If you have any questions, you can leave them in the chat, but I would highly suggest bring them over to the Facebook group if you don't know what that is. And Dr. Roni is starting a longevity detox. Let me read that for you because you need to know if you missed it out. And thank you, Siobhan. Has a longevity detox starting July 6th. If you feel in a certain way that you want to either drop some pounds, clean your body, cleanse it out from all these GMOs and bioengineers, waive your consultation fees. They range from $6,000 to $21,000 for 21-day detox, only as you purchase what the product she has chosen for the detox. Message Jillian or the person who invited you in here. So the deadline to join is June 21st. You may want to get some toxins out of your body to live better, live longer, and feel that you're living the best of your days. So that being said, if you have any questions, drop them over there in the Facebook group or in our chats. I am honored again to be here, be able to host with nonetheless one of the co-creators, co-founders of Martha's Vineyard Retreat, Dr. Roni, who is an amazing walking soul with the brain of gold and her heart even more. That's a diamond, pure diamond heart. Thank you for your knowledge. Thank you for your wisdom. Thank you for pouring out your heart and for making this world better because you exist. All right. God bless you all. Remember, your body's the only place you're going to spend the rest of your days. Give it the best. And if you can't, because of financial challenges or you're not, you may want to stay for the next meeting because we're going to show you how to make that money to pay yourself a better health. All right?
Thank
Let's
you.
open the mics and thank Dr. Roni. Thank you, Dr. Roni. Can't wait to see you in person. Hug your neck. And thank you for everything you do.
Good night.